Trojan family, Trojan gang. Mr. Fight On Forever is in the building. In today's episode, we about to talk about Jayden Maiava and USC coaches heating it up on the recruiting trail, ain't playing no games, on a mission, putting miles on that USC private jet, you heard? But we finna start at the top. QB, talk about QB number one. We gonna start at the top and talk about QB number one, Jayden Maiava, and then we gonna get on these coaches putting that mileage on that private jet, recruiting around the country after they done pounded California pavement with these recruits, right? So let's start at the top though. Jayden Maiava, QB1. Now, on 3 at least, right, came out with they top 25 quarterbacks for going into next season, right? And they came out with the top 10 quarterbacks going into the Big 10. So where y'all think Maiava ranked, right? So we know the Big 10 is running college football right now. No doubt about that thing. 2 back-to-back champions. So we finna focus on home territory and home soil, right? We finna focus in on the conference first, right? So surprisingly to me, the Big 10 got Jayden Maiava ranked as the 3rd best quarterback in the conference, which kind of raised eyebrows to me. It was kind of surprising that Jayden Maiava was ranked that high at number 3. But I like it. I ain't mad at it. Somebody look at him and feel like he's a great quarterback because, you know, half our fan base ain't sold on Jayden Maiava, right? Some is, some ain't. Seem like on 3 years though. Right, so let's dig into this. The number 1 quarterback they got coming out the Big 10, and I guess rightfully so, is Drew Allard. The number 2 quarterback they got is Luke Altmaier out of Illinois. Then yours truly, Jayden Maiava, come in at 3rd. Dylan Raiola come in at 4th. And Julian Sand, the California kid from Carlsbad, used to be an Alabama commit, went to Ohio State. They got him coming in at number 5. So the Big 10 top 5 quarterbacks, they got Drew Raiola, Luke Altmaier, Jayden Maiava, Dylan Raiola, and Julian Sand, right? So that got me to ask a question. Is Jayden Maiava legit? They feel like he legit and he's a good quarterback, he elite? Or does this speak to the lack of great quarterback play in the Big 10? Now, if you a USC fan, you know we come from the Pac-12. Like the last couple years in the Pac-12 was dominant at quarterback the last 2 years, right? I'm talking about even the last 3 years. So I'm talking about Jaden Daniels started off in the Pac-12. We had Michael Penix in the Pac-12. Bo Nix in the Pac-12. Caleb Williams in the Pac-12. Balling that quarterback. So the Pac-12, Cam Ward, right? The Pac-12 was crushing in quarterback, by far had the elite quarterbacks easily, especially the last couple years in the Pac-12, the last 3-4 years, easily. So we used to elite quarterbacks. Now, I don't think Jayden Maiava would have been a top 3 quarterback in the Pac-12 back in that day. I mean, of course not, right? But I think it do speak to his talent though, right? And the lack of great quarterback play in the Big 10. Big 10 next year gonna be looking thin at quarterback, right? So it might be up for the taking, but we know the Big 10 is a conference that starts in the trenches and end in the trenches. And there's always a quarterback or 2 that we ain't thinking about that probably gonna break out next year in the Big 10 of ball that we ain't thinking about. But if Drew Allard is the number 1 quarterback in your conference and Altmaier is number 2, then that conference ain't really that great at quarterback. At least right now, how we look at it right now. So we know, first and foremost, next year in the Big 10 is going to be all about the trenches like it always is, right? But the quarterback play, if we got a great defense, it seems like, and can get a pass rush, we could play a lot of teams with mid quarterbacks and maybe snatch a couple picks, right? And then let me just go over the top 25, right? So the top 25 quarterbacks in the nation now. Jayden Maiava was surprisingly, he was number 3 in the Big 10, right? Shout out to that. They make me feel a little better about him because, somebody thinks something good of him. You know what I'm saying? And I see it too. I want to see that second half, fourth quarter Maiava all the time. Then most definitely he a top 3 quarterback, right, in the Big 10. But number 1, they got Sam Levitt out of Arizona State. 2, they got Drew Outlaw out of Penn State. They got Lagway coming in at number 3 out of Florida. They got Arch Manning coming in out of Texas. You got Lenore Sellers at 5 coming out of South Carolina. Garrett Nussmeier at 6, LSU. Carson Beck at Miami. Cade Klubnik at Clemson. John Mateer, number 9 at Oklahoma. At 10, they got Nico Maiava, right? Nico, we're gonna call him Nico, out of Tennessee. Josh Hoover out of TCU at 11. Then you got Taylor Green, number 12, out of Arkansas. Then at 13, you got Eli Holstein out of Pittsburgh. At 14, you got Diego Pavia out of Vanderbilt. At 15, you got CJ Bailey at North Carolina State. Darian Mensah at 16 from Duke. At 17, you got Baron Morton from Texas Tech. At 18, you got Sora Robertson from Baylor. At 19, you got Rocco Beck out of Iowa State. 20, you got Avery Johnson out of Kansas State. 21, you got Lou Altmaier. 22, you got Jayden Maiava. 23, you got Dylan Raiola. 24, you got your boy Miller Moss at Louisville. Then 25, you got Julian Sand. So the Big 10, what they got, 5 quarterbacks up in here. But besides you, Allard, they all ranked at the bottom. So Allard number 2. And then the rest of the Big 10 quarterbacks come in at 21, 22, 23, and 25. So it's basically like the other conferences, the ACC and the Big 12 and the SEC got better quarterbacks than the Big 10, right? So either we could take advantage of that or our trenches gonna get exposed. If we get right in the trenches, then we ain't gotta worry about no great quarterback play, right? Then our defense could cook. D'Anton Lynn could cook. But this could come back to hurt us if we do make the playoff and play elite quarterback or something like that. And we been used to mid quarterback play. So it's pros and cons to this, right? So I just wanted to point that out, that they got Jayden Maiava at 3 in the Big 10. And do that say more about the Big 10? Or do that say it's more about Maiava? We need to give him more credit for the talent that he brings, right? Now let's get to these demons, right? And when I talk about demons, I'm talking about Doug Vilk, I'm talking about D'Anton Lynn, and I'm talking about Coach Henny Privilege, right? Now, after they've been beating up the concrete, right? They've been beating up the streets in California with these recruiting visits, right? Now, USC, they start putting mileage on that fire jet. They started to get out there and reach out to some of the best players in the nation. You hear me? And one of them offers Doug Belk threw out there. This is the first one I'm going to tell y'all about. Corner. We trying to have, I guess we trying to be DBU. You know what I'm saying? For the future, we could be flooded the conference with Jeremiah Swift and all them demons Ohio State be having that at wide receiver. And it seems like they the cream of the crop of this conference right now. We need DBs, right? So USC, Doug Belk them hopped on the PJ, flew out to Townsend, Maryland, went and came to see this kid, Kerry Adams, right? Kerry Adams, he a DB. We trying to add to the class. We already got RJ Sermons. We already got Joshua Holland, Madden Weirden. Who else we got at corner? I'm missing one. Brandon Lockhart. So we already got 4 corners in this class locked down. That's elite, right? We already got them locked down elite. We trying to add 2 more. This is one of the first ones we trying to add, right? Kerry Adams. Now this kid, what he ranked? He a 4-star. He got a 91 rating, 6'1", 180. You know what I'm saying? Kid could ball. the number 12 corner in the nation, the number 5 overall player out of Maryland. I mean, the kid just elite. You gotta have a kid like this. Like I said, 4-star, 91 rating. Kid could play. He could cover. This would be adding to our war chest. Like we looking at probably the best DB class if we add him to the class as well, right? So Doug Belk is on a mission. He's a menace. He's just a menace, right? He ain't playing. Hopping on that jet, putting in work. Hopefully, Kerry Adams, he owed plenty of offers, like especially close to home. He got the Maryland offer. He got the Penn State offer. He got North Carolina, Notre Dame, so it ain't gonna be easy. But hey, we shooting our shot, right? Then you got linebacker from Delaware, Ohio, Favor Akai, right? Now he listed as a running back / linebacker, but he's being offered to us as a linebacker from Coach Lynn. He 5'11", 190. I feel like they feel like he gonna put a couple of inches on him, right? So you could play linebacker at 6 foot, 6'1". He only 17, so I bet you he probably grow that inch, right? Now, with a lot of this recruiting, they'll come to your home and see your lineage, right? So if you like 5'11", they might look at your pops. Your pops might be like 6'3". So they probably project you like, okay, your pops, your moms, they'll look at them and be like, yeah, your genetic, you probably grow another inch. So don't let the 5'11" fool you. He play like he's 6'1". Kid could ball, got versatility, could take it to the house with the ball in his hand, could hawk you down at linebacker. I mean, the kid could play, and I love players that play both ways and then leap both ways and have teams recruiting for multiple positions, because that just show to me that you've been playing football since you a little kid and you just got them instincts that's in you, right? And the instincts was bred in your DNA. So I like kids like that. Them kids turn out to be ballers, could play multiple positions, can learn multiple schemes, right? They have a balanced attack to their game. So I like D'Anton Lynn offering this kid as a linebacker for sure. Now, let's get to the trenches a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Let's bounce to the trench one time. Coach Henny then offered 2026 class Demai Lewis from Bellevue, Washington, right? Now, I like this offer, right? I like this offer because, for one, he got that prototypical frame that you like. He's 6'5", he 240 right now. For sure gonna put weight on that, right? This kid only offer before this, right? Demai Lewis, a 6'5", 240 kid from Washington. His only offer before this was Nevada, right? Now, this kid, he done moved to North Carolina now, but he from Washington. Nevada is Lewis' only listed offer before the Trojans extended one. So this probably his first major D1 offer, so that probably carried with the kid. He gonna remember this moment. He gonna remember that Nevada offer too, but he definitely gonna remember this USC offer because it's a blue blood, Power 5, Big 10 conference. It's that first offer to make you feel like, okay, I could do something, I could make it, I could go to the NFL because I got these elite schools that got multiple Hall of Famers. Like USC is an NFL school, right? NFL product school, even on the down years. So he's going to remember this offer. Demai Lewis, he's going to remember this offer because it's going to be a special time in his career. So we need to capitalize off that. We need to keep that as our advantage. I know he was smiling from ear to ear to get this offer. Not only from USC in the first Power 5 major offer, you getting it from Coach Henny. You know what I'm saying? A dude that coached Aaron Donald in the NFL. So that's like if you a DB and you get an offer from Deion, that gotta mean something, that at least for your confidence. Right? So if everything else right, like we already got an advantage right there. Like this is where we can implant ourselves in the kid heart for being one of them first major schools that believe in them. Every major offer after this, if he get Ohio State, Washington, whatever he get, USC still got the Uno card where we believed in you before everybody else did. You know what I'm saying? When nobody was on you, we was on you. Right? So that's why I like this offer. Hey, when nobody was on you, we was on you. So you see, after we got on you, everybody started paying attention. Now watch the offers flow. other recruiters and coaches gonna be like, well, shit, if Coach Henny like him, then I like him. You know what I'm saying? We gonna give another look at this kid, right? So it don't stop. The Anton Lynn was in Ohio, right? So while Coach Henny was in the Carolinas, down south, right, East Coast, right, Lynn was up in Ohio, right? He stopped in to check in. And Ohio been having a lot of decent DBs coming out there recently. They got the #1 cornerback in the nation, Albert Hill, right? So he had to check in on them. Now, I know y'all heard, like, man, we already got 4 DBs in this class. We trying to get Kerry Adams. That's 5. Like, how many DBs we need? Hey, look, check it out. When you got a #1 player at his position, it don't matter what, right? It don't matter what you got. You gon' test the water and see how the #1 prospect feel about you, and especially if he's the top 20 overall. He's the number 17 overall prospect. So you're going to holler at all the top 20 prospects overall, regardless of position and what you got. Trust and believe me, unless you just think the recruiting board and all the sites is just losing their mind, right? But if he #1, right, and top 2 or 3 at every site, then you know it's something there, right? So you gonna check that out and test the waters. That's what Coach Lynn did, right? As well as 4-star linebacker Sincere Johnson. Now, before I move on to Sincere Johnson, let me get more Albert Hill. He a 4-star, right? He got a 95 rating, so that means he borderline 5-star, right? He on that 5-star cusp. And of course, he the #1 corner in the country, right? So eventually, he gonna get that 5-star unless the cornerback position is weak this year. He listed at 5'10" and a half, 170 pounds, right? You know what I'm saying? That it gonna be tough to pull him out of Ohio, right? You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be tough, especially after Ohio State then won a national championship. But you know what I'm saying? If you ain't trying, then what? You cheating yourself. You cheating yourself if you ain't trying, right? Then you got Sincere Johnson, another kid out of Ohio. So why you going to Ohio? Why we going to Ohio? They probably got it on lock. They just won the national championship. You know, that region of the country, the Midwest, they got a lot of regional pride too, right? But hey, everybody can't go to Ohio State, right? And then some homegrown talent that probably don't like Ohio State. Just like we got some kids in California who don't like USC or UCLA, whatever. So we can't just take that, you know, every Ohio kid could want to just play for Ohio State. That's not true. It's maybe a lot of them, or the majority of them, but some gonna be open to playing somewhere else. Especially in our situation, we ain't as stacked as Ohio State right now. Ohio State been stacking every year. So we can probably offer more chance of playing time, right? We may not be able to offer more money because we know how Ohio State is. Maybe not, because they probably got so high-class player, they probably do got a budget at some point down the line, right? At some point down the line. So they probably, some players we maybe can't outbid or match the offer and offer more chance at playing time in NFL coaching, right? Now, no, Ohio State got the pedigree. They didn't put a lot of kids in the NFL, so Ohio State gonna be hard to recruit against. They already got that reputation, and they already been monsters on the recruiting trail. Period. Now that they did the national championship, it's going to amplify that. But we still swinging for the fences. I mean, this is Anton Lynn territory, the Midwest. So we going to go after the best and see who wants to lead coaching and see who want to come out to LA. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to live in Columbus. Sincere Johnson, maybe he's one of them kids. And we need linebackers. We didn't miss out on a lot of linebackers these last couple of years. Just last year, Noah Michael and Riley Pettyjohn, right? And there's more that I'm probably forgetting. The year before that, KVA, right? So we've been missing out on linebackers a lot. That's why we kind of thin that linebacker right now. So we got to go after, even if it's in championship territory, we got to go after this elite talent, right? Then Doug Belk, he wasn't done, right? So you got to keep recruiting the kids you already got, though. right? This recruiting thing is like a relationship. You can't stop doing the things you did to get the girl. Once you got the girl, you got to keep doing them things you did to get the girl, right? So USC is trying to keep doing what they did to get the girl by going in and visited Brandon Lockhart, already committed. Make sure he stay locked down. The young rangy corner, and we all know the Oregon Smorgon sucks, right? The Oregon Ducks is on his trail. They held that Oregon Trail. They try to get him. We don't want them to snatch him like they've been doing the last couple corners and players that we didn't have committed, like Roger Pleasant and Dakota Fields, and offensive linemen like Josh Connerly and defensive linemen like Mateo. We don't want them to get this elite homegrown California talent kid that committed to us and got us up there in his rankings, right? So we don't want to see a Dakota Field, Roger Pleasant, Ryan Pelham type situation. So Doug Belt is still doing what he did to get the kid, to keep the kid. You hear me? And we're going to have to do that because it's major competition. Now, Coach Henny wasn't done. He checked in with a few more players. He wasn't done hitting them Carolinas after he was in the Carolinas. He was in Florida, right? Right, but let's start. We're gonna go back to Carolina in a minute, but let's go down to Florida. He had offered Kendall Gerville. He came to visit and check in with him. 4-star defensive lineman, 91 rating overall, 91.19 4-star, 6'4", 265. You know, got all the measurables. He got the size you like, the potential you like, broad shoulders. Like, kid could play. Feel like he gonna be a beast. Feel like he one of them kids that he might not jump to 5-star, but the kid could ball. He's gonna be a high 4-star the whole season. And like I said, if Coach Henny like him, I like him, right? Like, I don't doubt Coach Henny's judgment for a second and what he could do with players. Then you got James Johnson, right? James Johnson out of Cape Coral, Florida, right? 6'4", another 6'4" kid, frame to work with, 275, 91.22 rating, slightly higher than Gerville. You know, kid a baller, right? Coach Henny like him. I like him. He got offers from Florida, Miami, USF, Syracuse, Louisville. Like, they all own the kid. He's a baller. We got to check in, right? We know we need that trench work, and Coach Henny's out looking for that dog work, and we on the trail. Then let's go back to North Carolina, though, for the #1 defensive alignment in the country. USC ain't playing. They ain't going out of state for kids that they don't think it's legit. We already went after the #1 corner in the country, even though he in Ohio championship country, right? So while Tom Lynn was trying to get the #1 corner in the country, Coach Henny down in North Carolina trying to get the #1 defensive lineman prospect in the country, Aiden Harris, right? Aiden Harris is a 6'3", 240-pound defensive lineman out of Weddington, North Carolina. The #1 defensive lineman in the country, which surprised me that he's only a 4-star and he's the 30th ranked national player. Like, how the #1 defensive lineman is the 30th ranked national player, period. So they like the #1 corner, which is Airboy here. The number 17 overall is more valuable than the best defensive lineman. It's kind of suspicious to me, but hey, it's on 3. It's his recruiting rankings. But forget all that. You watch this kid film though, and you ain't mad at why he #1. I'm mad that he down there at 30 when he watches film. He at least a top 20, 15 prospect to me when I watch his film, right? Kid could ball. And then let me go back to Johnson. Johnson and Gerville is Johnson is the 14th ranked defensive lineman, and Gerville is the 15th ranked defensive lineman, right? So Jakeem Stewart ain't gonna be the Coach Henny only claim to fame to recruiting. He trying to get some monsters. He gonna develop kids. Watch what these kids do and watch Coach Henny lore keep growing, right? Coach Henny finna bag him something legit. He gonna bag the next Thanos. Watch. I'm telling you. They on that grind, man. They putting miles on that private jet. USC ain't playing. And then you heard about another bag that I think being dropped on the 24 milli bag that we heard a couple weeks ago. I heard another endowment then came through now. Could Scott Schrader or his information, could they be lately reporting a 24 mil that we already knew about weeks ago, because we on the inside too, and they play so close to the vest, they just now trying to let it leak out? Or this a whole nother new bag? Now, if this is a whole nother new bag, I can see why they hopping on the PJ and tearing up the country, beating the concrete with this recruiting, putting extra miles on that flyer jet. You got an extra bag that'll rejuvenate you more. You already know you got the coaching, the teaching, the resume, the chops, the talk, the swagger. You could relate to these kids. Only thing that you probably was thinking about and was conscious about that you maybe wasn't uber confident on the bag that you could offer the kid, right? When you know you can't compete financially, that probably take away some of the energy and luster to your recruiting. But if we get another bag on top of another bag and our NIL is slowly getting in a better position, that gonna be more motivating for the coaches. You're gonna be more likely to be like, hey, Lincoln Riley, tell them to fill up that private jet. You know what I'm saying? I need to go see this kid, that kid, because I ain't recruiting with one hand behind my back. You hear me? When our NIL was so bad, we had to recruit with one hand behind our back. And we got both hands free. These coordinators, these recruiters, Lynn, Belk, and them, they ain't playing, man. They ain't playing. And you see when you hear about a lot of recruiting going on, people traveling, you always hear Belk and Henny, like our defensive side. Look, USC might be a defensive school for the next couple years, like to the point defense first, meaning our defense gonna be outshining our offense type of deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like our defensive staff is just as good X's and O's wise, and I feel like when you got Henny and Belk and Lynn, I feel like that's a better combination than Lincoln Riley and what they got on the offensive side when it comes to recruiting. Just they resume, they swagger, their ages, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we gonna have great defensive recruiting class. Even though I feel like, okay, we need to get more linebackers. We need to focus on the linebacker position a little more, though. I want to see more linebacker offers. You know, we kind of thin on linebacker right now and kind of thin for the future. So I want us to step it up in this linebacker game so we don't have to keep going in the portal and getting linebackers, right? But besides that, I mean, in the trenches, defensive line and DB, we killing it. And meaning, you know, we putting in a lot of effort there. We definitely killing them with the DBs. We already got 4 DBs committed that we own, that's like Trojans, right? So I just want to see us just get our linebacker stack, and then that's going to complete the defense. Like, we need the middle tight. You know, if we got a great defensive line, great DBs, that's when linebackers take advantages of that. Like, so when you got a great defensive line, that's when your linebackers can run, flee, and make plays. So when you're going to have a defensive line, setting up the linebackers, you want good linebackers right there to take advantage, because the defensive line can do their part. But if the linebacker miss a tackle, don't fill the gap, hesitate, ain't playing full speed with his hair on fire, the offense might still get positive play, right? So we need them linebackers. Usually the coach with the defense come from the linebackers. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we need. So, man, that's just why I want to bring y'all, man. Like, USC is a monster on this recruiting trail, and we going. But until then, man, it's your boy, Carter Gang, Mr. USC, Mr. Fight On himself, coming from the land of Troy. You know what I'm saying? Bringing y'all this content, man. Until the next video, I'm gone.